Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, The Pink Dumbbell Problem. My name is Terry, and today I'm bringing you just a quick and very short episode in the Discourse series. In the Discourse is just my little opportunity every so often to talk about something that's come up in the news, and this wasn't the plan for today. I actually have a Friday Fact Day video planned that was supposed to come up today, but something dropped in the news this morning, and I gotta bring it up. Back in the middle of January, I did a video that included several topics, one of which was the lack of papal apology for the residential school system here in Canada. And as I said then, we have to have a little chat about the Pope. Again. So the reason I dropped my other topic is this came up on Twitter this morning from several news sources. There has finally been a papal apology. Before I go on, I do want to issue a content warning because I am going to be talking about the residential school system. And I'm not going to go into the details of that. Many other presenters and content creators have done that much better than I can, especially in a short form video like this. So please go seek them out, but also please note I will be speaking a little bit about it, and please take care of your emotional needs in this situation. I won't be offended if you don't want to watch the rest of this video. So as I sort of mentioned in my previous video, the fight for this has been going on for decades, and there have been papal apologies from previous popes for abuse against children by religious officials, including school educators. And for whatever reason, we haven't been able to get one here in Canada. So as of this morning, the news broke, and that has changed. I will put a link down below, but here's a screenshot from the CBC coverage. You can actually watch the video clip here, and you can actually hear the wording of the apology, which is really nice to hear. Following several Indigenous journalists, content creators, so on, artists, presenters, all kinds of fascinating and talented people. Two in particular I've been following day to day as this has been playing out are Brandy Morn and Tanya Talaga. And Brandy actually just posted a very heartwarming and very emotional, she kept it together, I didn't, reaction to the news. She's actually at the Vatican and vlogging all of this as it's been playing out over the last week or so. They're certainly not the only ones, but they're the two I've been following the most, so I'll throw you some links to their Twitter threads on this stuff below. Please do check them out. We need to be following our Indigenous content creators. Now, there's two things about the discourse around this that I want to particularly bring up. The first is there's a lot of people going, yeah, well, it's just an apology and it doesn't matter until there's reparations. And there's a lot of people saying, well, it's fine to have a papal apology, but, it should have been done here on Canadian soil and such and such. And yes, absolutely. All of those things still need to happen. But as I've said on this channel before, we need to celebrate the wins. And this is a big win. This is a win that was decades in the making. And not only has this been decades in the making, and not only do we need to celebrate the win, what we really want to do is celebrate the people who have been doing the work. Because this has been a long, long, long road. And many of these people are residential school survivors themselves, or they're the children and grandchildren of survivors. It's really important that we respect and honor and congratulate them on this win. The other thing, and I'm seeing this from people who are probably current or maybe former Catholics quite a lot on Twitter. I'm not going to name names. As always, I leave personal names out of these things in the hopes that people will come around to the right side of this in the near future. But I'm seeing a lot of people saying, well, you can't blame every teacher in the residential school systems. There were some good ones, so on and so on. Speaking as somebody who's a qualified high school teacher and has worked with children in various community groups, including having been a leader with Girl Guides of Canada for 25 years, no, just no. There may have been teachers who are not physically directly abusing kids in those schools, but you can't work in a school with other teachers who are abusing and not see the results in the kids in front of you. It's just not possible. At some point, adults that people are trying to defend here were just turning a blind eye or sticking their head in the sand and ignoring what was directly in front of them. And it is really only in the last 25-ish or 30-ish years that really explicit training is being given to education professionals and youth workers and recreation leaders on recognizing the signs of abuse. It is newer than the residential school system. By the way, the last one closed in 1996. I finished high school in 1995. Okay, so I was out of school when there was still a residential school operating here in Canada. But if you're neglecting to handle the abuse that's blatantly right in front of you, you're part of the abuse. I don't want to give away movie spoilers here, but if you've seen the film Spotlight, movie poster right here, there's a great moment in there with Stanley Tucci and Mark Ruffalo. Stanley Tucci plays the lawyer, Mitch Garabedian, who's a real-life lawyer who did the case against the Catholic Church when there was sexual abuse from priests in the Boston diocese. He and Mark Ruffalo was playing Mike Resendez, the journalist who was working on breaking the news on this. And, he says to him, he says, Mike, it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes a village to abuse one. So as much as I realize that for some people, especially again, if they're actively Catholic and new Catholic educators who worked in those schools, maybe living friends and relatives in some family cases, I understand that there is a knee-jerk defense mechanism that kicks in and you want to defend these people and the work they did and you want to claim that they were innocent. But I have a very, very hard time believing that. And everything in my multiple decades now of teaching and training and pedagogical work, no, you've got some reckoning to do there. I understand where you're coming from emotionally, but you do need to understand it's emotional and not excuse these people. There's never an excuse for this kind of behavior. And the fact that it took the Pope so long to apologize on behalf of the entire church it's a great start. It's not the end of the road, and it absolutely is to be celebrated. But it's a sign of how deep and how far up the chain of command these issues have been in centuries past, not even just decades. These things go back centuries. And there are plans, according to the reports on a couple of news sources, again, I'll put some links down below for you, that the Pope will be coming to Canada in sometime in the summer. Don't know exactly when or where in Canada, probably Ottawa, I would suspect. But he will be coming, and perhaps the apology will be repeated when he's here in person. So it's very, very early days yet. There's a lot more news to come on this. Hard to say when, where, and how this is all going to play out, but I will check back in and update people on this. I'll be back next week with the video that was supposed to happen this week. In the meantime, have a look at the links. Have a look down below. There's some links to the issues. There's also a few links to my previous videos that kind of touch on similar topics I've brought up today. And of course, in the meantime, lift heavy, fight the patriarchy, and I'll see you the next time.